Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. This is your boy Carl E. Long. E stands for Edward, and I am here for a bonus night of the podcast. Yes, episode 30 that I just did the other day. And guys, those of you that follow me on YouTube, that watch the video, watch the podcast, as well as listen, y'all might have noticed that I was sleepy. I was sleepy as heck. I had a long day at church when I was recording, and I was just tired. So I didn't really finish everything, but I'm glad I broke it up into these two portions here. I'm calling this bonus because it is election day, and because I had quite a few things left to do. So it was almost going to be 2 hours, which is not what I want. I want to try to keep the podcast at an hour or less to keep you engaged, because sometimes if I'm falling asleep on myself, then I know you falling asleep on me. But I hope that you are still engaging with me and keeping up this fight for the Trump administration and the Trump years. Yes, we are here again. Believe it or not, that you wake yourself up. This is not a nightmare. Donald Trump was elected again. Yes, he is. And so every day on the news is a new story. I'm looking in my eyes now, guys, and see that I'm not going to fall asleep. I think I'm fine. Had a little nap today, so I'll be good. So I have a lot to talk about because tonight was election night. Not a big election night, but it was for the two Democratic seats, and there was a judge's race that was open. So it turned out these were two very, very red Democratic seats in Florida, of course, red Florida. And they were replacing the administration's Mike Waltz, who is the security advisor, national security advisor, and the ever so lovely Matt Gaetz, who quit the Congress. So those were the two seats. They were very much red seats, and the Democrats did not expect to win them, but they expected to see what was going on. And I think we saw what was going on because these were overwhelmingly won, like 70-30% by Waltz and Gaetz, but tonight it wasn't quite that. It was like 8-10 points on both races. I mean, as it's been developing, I haven't looked at the totals coming in. It may have widened out a little bit more, but that was the last I heard, 8-10 points, not 30. So that tells you there are no Democrats. They were asking on the magic wall, John King, where's the Democratic county? Because there are no Democratic county. This is a red county. So, but what was switching there was a lot of the Republican voters came out to vote or didn't come out to vote, but changed their mind. And I guess that's a good thing for red-ass Florida, if I can say that, red-ass Florida. So, but the good news is that Elon Musk, he lost. Y'all know that he was all up in Wisconsin trying to secure a Supreme Court judge race in Wisconsin. I mean, this race is not anything that would be nationally known or anything, but because this particular position on the Wisconsin Supreme Court would keep the liberals in the majority. That is what this was all about. Now, in their politics, in state politics, they're kind of like we are in Dallas with county politics. They're really not parties, so to speak, but she is the liberal candidate. So this is what happens here. Let me just read this to you. Elon Musk's super PAC poured more than $12 million into the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. In the end, the liberal candidate Judge Susan Crawford defeated conservative Judge Brad Shamil. The loss is a blow for Musk, who held a town hall. He held a town hall in Wisconsin and urged voters to back Shamil. His town hall included giving people $1 million if they committed to voting. Well, coming out to vote. He can't say committed to voting because, that's kind of not within the law. But he was trying to make it that way. But he poured all this money into this race. A Wisconsin Supreme Court, the Supreme Court's judges' races are usually not that way because, they're not political, but, because they don't carry the actual red-blue when it comes to, that's what we are in county politics here in Dallas, same way. So for Wisconsin Republicans, regaining a conservative majority on the state Supreme Court was a top priority, but they don't have it. Yes, so that showed right there that Wisconsins don't play with them, and it also was a testament on Elon Musk. So what I anticipate going forward from this race, Republicans are going to probably not send Elon Musk anywhere, because the polls overwhelmingly, the American people do not want him in our business. It's huge. I mean, there are a lot of people that support him, but it's not. His ratings are way worse than Donald Trump's, who continues to be the king of all kings. Lord help us all. Lord help us all. So this is really, really a good news in a way, because it does test the waters for Democrats, and it lets them know that the people are listening and things are changing. He doesn't have the white margins. Now, whenever Donald Trump is on the ballot, things are different because they love Donald Trump's ass. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me, because I'm being a little bit out there today because I'm just kind of over with everything. But they love his dirty draws, if I might say that, Donald Trump. And no matter what he does, these people will vote for him. Which brings me to the point of just saying, guys, America is such a strange country. You know what this whole Republican regime is telling me as a black American, as a minority in this country, is that the white man has to come in and run everything because don't none of us know what to do. It's all about the great white male who runs every damn thing. That's what it's all about. And they've just basically just come in. Look at the whole administration. It's lily white with the one black guy who's on, and Marco Rubio, who's on the housing, and he's from Dallas. And God knows he's a football player. And I heard him talk. He has no business being anything other than a football player. He's just a nice guy. He's an associate pastor at a church here in Texas. I can't think of his name right now. I didn't realize that he was a Dallas boy. He played football, but somehow Trump got a hold of him because he goes to a very conservative church here in Dallas, a church that I used to love until the preacher outwardly endorsed Donald Trump, which I thought was against the rules, separation of church and state. When it comes to your 401c3, you cannot be political. So I don't know how he got away with that, but he did. But anyway, I gave that whole pastor up. So this guy on the Housing and Human Development HUD, he is now a associate pastor at this church. So he's one of the ones they like. You know what I mean? One of the ones they like. And that's just it. With black people, they want you to be pretty much subservient, never talk about race, never talk about being black. Basically, you need to be neutral. You need to be beige. You cannot be black around white people. Otherwise, they don't like it. As long as you talk like them and be what they want you to be, and you're not going to be any way intimidating, then you're in. That's not who I am. I have white friends, and they know who I am and what I stand for. If they're my friend, they're my friend. Do you know what I mean? But, we can have opposing views, but there's some views that I just don't go. I cannot understand a good friend of mine who knows who I am, who would just blatantly support a Donald Trump. That's hard for me. It's very hard for me. I had some friends that I lost pretty much because of it. We just don't talk anymore, but because of it. And because I live in Texas and I work with other people of white persuasion, I don't like to talk about politics around them, period. They probably know where I stand, but every now and then they might try to inch a conversation in, not this particular work crew I had, but another one before. We had some that were blatantly out there, but I didn't like to talk about politics or race or anything like that because they don't really want to have a true conversation about what's going on in America. What's going on in America? And I know white people, y'all think y'all are tired of us talking about it. But until, I'm just going to do like you, from The Color Purple, I'm holding my fingers up, guys. Until you do right by us, nothing is going to be right by you. I know those are not her exact words. I didn't quote very well. You know what I mean? So that's it right there. That's what's going on. And they haven't done right by us. They still have not done right by us, guys. I don't care what you say. You have not done right by us at all. So the Trump regime is trying to come in and just wipe away all the progress that has ever happened in America. And we're not standing for it. Now, right now, black people, we're kind of just sitting out waiting to see what's going on. We're not out there because we're hurt. We're tired. We have marched so much for all the black shootings, all the kids, everything that's been happening over the last 4. We're marched out. So this one right here, all of you white liberals, y'all got to handle it for us until we're ready. I'm doing my part by making sure that you and maybe capturing some independent out there who is on the fence and will come on to the fold. Y'all know how I feel about independents. They get on my nerves. I want you to pick a side. You vote for them. You vote. It just drives me crazy. And y'all are supposed to be, and y'all are the ones that hold this whole country hostage. Swing states and independents. They get on my nerve. They really do. So I wanted to show you something that I saw on The View. Elie Mystal has written a book. He's got 10 laws he thinks that needs to be thrown away. We don't need them anymore. Because basically he made a quick point. Everything before the 1960 Civil Rights Act, we lived in an apartheid country. We did. There was separate but equal in a lot of parts of our country. I mean, some of the northern states didn't have all that, but we lived in an apartheid country. Think about that. Before the Civil Rights Act was passed, we still had to ride in the back of the buses. We still could not get homes in certain neighborhoods. We still didn't have the right to vote. Right. Do you know what I mean? That was 1965, guys. So we're still fighting this fight. And as much as you want us to believe, white people, that you think that we have progressed, and we have progressed, I'll give us that, but not to the point of where things are of inequality. You have just been placating us and just kind of riding with the motion. But you truly have not taken responsibility or ownership of what you did to the people of color in this country. You truly have not taken responsibility. That's a fact. And that's what we want you to do. Guys, my eyes are getting kind of sleepy here. I hope I don't get sleepy on you again. This is what I get for recording at night, but it's all good. I'm going to make it through because I'm excited about talking with you tonight. And the putting this stuff together can be, because I don't like to miss anything. I like to make the points known as to what's going on, make it make sense to you. So let's listen to Elie Mystal. He was on The View. He is a Democratic strategist, and he did a lot during the election. He's very animated, and I love him. But he has this book out, which I have to get. So let's listen to what he said to the ladies of The View, and we'll come back and discuss.
Why they all made the list in his new book, Bad Law, 10 popular laws that are ruining America. Welcome back, Elie Mystal. So, you know, given there's so much to pick from, what was it about these 10 that solidified it for you?
Yeah, so I set out to start to kind of try to write Project 2029. Right? When Republicans come into office, they come in with a sledgehammer, right? They come in smashing things that I hold dear. When Democrats come into office, they come in with like super glue and tape. And so they try to put things back together. So I thought about writing 10 constitutional amendments that'd be super cool if we had. I was like, no. We need to smash the things that they like. We need to smash the things that are holding this country back. And so I came up with 10 laws that we could just be rid of. Not reform, not update for the modern era. 10 things that we can smash if we ever are allowed to get power again that would make this country better tomorrow.
See?
I love this book. You are dead on, and it is a fantastic book. One of the laws you write about is playing out right now, the Immigration and Nationality Act. Now, this administration is using this statute to justify the detentions and possible deportations, actually, of visa and green card holders who they seem to deem a threat to U.S. foreign policy. What do you make of the administration's use of the act? And more broadly, is Trump really setting up a First Amendment showdown, which is what Whoopi's been talking about?
Yes, absolutely. One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional. Right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act? When they passed our fundamental immigration law, Congress said in real time that they needed the law to prevent the, quote, mongrelization of the white race by the inferior races. Now I look at that law and I say, I don't think that's so good. I don't think we should still be using it, but we are still using it today. That is the authority that Trump is using to criminalize people and to pull people's visa cards. Marco Rubio, that comes from the 1956 update to the 1921 Act. Now, I personally do not think that I can convince people to open their hearts and minds to immigration. I understand that in our failing country, treating people with respect and decency and humanity is a controversial position. And I cannot change their minds. But we can dang sure make sure that we're not putting people in jail for the crime of existing.
Right.
That we're not putting people in jail for the crime of not filling out the form in triplicate in the right time and submitting it to the right agent. Criminal immigration status offenses should not be criminal offenses. They should be civil offenses. We shouldn't be ripping people away from their families because they didn't fill out the paperwork correctly.
Right.
Alyssa, you got it.
Yeah, Ellie, so congrats on the book, and I weirdly read the epilogue first, and what I was struck by, what you and I agreed on, well, we may disagree on some of the issues in the law, you did lay out a bunch of solutions. One of them is adding more seats to the House of Representatives, but you acknowledge those are really hard things to do. That's not something that I think either of us expect is going to happen in the next decade. So what do you see as sort of the marginal changes that are actually really tangible and realistic that could be put in place in the next few years?
I argue that we should eliminate all voter registration laws. Now, that might not sound realistic to you, but I promise you that it is, because we already have voter eligibility requirements, right? An eligibility requirement would be like an age limit, right? 18 to vote, I might say you should be 16, but I'm not going to say 8. I've got an 8-year-old who does knock, but I've got an 8-year-old, right? We don't want them voting. But once you meet the eligibility requirement, why can't you automatically be registered to vote?
That's right.
Having the second step of voter registration needlessly suppresses the votes for no real benefit. Some people might say, like, oh, it prevents voter fraud. First of all, no, it doesn't. Second of all, voter fraud doesn't exist. Right? If I say I want to go fishing somewhere, and you say, you can't go fishing there. I say, why? Because the Loch Ness Monster might get you. Like that. That's shut up. That's not a good reason to have a law, right? Let's get rid of that, right? So I think that if we open up the aperture to voting to more people, to get some of those 90 million people who stayed home on the couch, to get them to have easier access to the ballot, I think some of these larger changes that I talk in the book.
But they don't want that on that side. They don't want that.
It's funny. You know what they do want, though?
Yeah.
They want voter ID.
Yeah,
they're all hot for voter ID as the thing that is going to like secure the election. So I say, if voter ID is so important to you, if you think that that's what it takes to secure an election, let's make a trade.
Can I ask one follow-up?
You get
Good luck.
you get voter ID, and I get mandatory automatic registration. Who says no? And I promise you, it's the Republicans that say no because they don't want more people voting.
That's
It's not about security. They don't want more people voting.
Oh, I was just going to say, so some countries automatically at a certain age register you to vote. Would you be in support of just universal, you turn 18 and are registered?
Not just some countries. Most countries that are not us either have automatic registration, mandatory registration, where you pay a fine if you're not registered, or same-day registration. Pick one. There are lots of democracies out there. Pick one. We do it the dumbest way.
How's your blood pressure?
Always high.
So
He's fighting for the
and we
world.
having him
Yeah, I
back
know.
tomorrow? What's happening with this? Is he coming back tomorrow?
Cory Booker needs to come back tomorrow because he's the one who's fighting.
Corey's busy right now.
Right, he's the one who's fighting.
busy right now.
We're
He's
trying to
still
get him.
talking. But
Yeah.
our thanks to Elie Mystal. His book, Bad Law, 10 Popular Laws That Are Ruining America, is out now. You can shop his book by scanning the QR code on the screen. And you know what? You're such a good bunch of folks in the audience. You're all going home with a copy of this book. You're getting the book. We'll be right back.
All right, that was Elie Mystal, baby. Yes, he is amazing. I love him. The name of the book is Bad Law by Elie Mystal, E-L-I-E Mystal, like Mystal, M-Y-S-T-A-L, if you want to get the book. And if you're looking at this video on my YouTube, there was a QR code that came up on the view screen that you could probably scan and get the book. So he said something I forgot, and I meant to say this earlier in my opening, was congratulations to Senator Cory Booker. He broke the record. It's been the longest senator to speak on the Senate floor. He broke Strom Thurmond's record. He went like 25 hours. How did the brother do it? I don't know, because I know I have to pee like crazy. And he was drinking water too. I was like, oh no, I couldn't have made it. The dude must have had on some adult diapers. Had to. I'm sorry to sound so crazy, but he did it. And I'm so proud of him for standing up against the Donald Trump regime. And a lot of the pundits are saying, so what is he going to do? It doesn't matter what he did. He made a stand. You know, I just hate how they knock people down when people do remarkable things for this country. The dude stood up there 24 hours talking nonstop to make a point and to put everything he ever wanted to say about what Donald Trump is doing and trying to appeal to his Republican brothers and sisters to understand, why are y'all doing this? Guys, some of this stuff is so ingrained in our white Americans that it's hard to watch. I look at some of them and they're just like excited. They're like, we're back. We're back. What does that mean? We're back. You're back in control? You back in control of the government, or you back in control of the world? What does that mean? Do you know what I mean? And I look at one of the ones that really irritate me the most are conservative MAGA women. They all look the same way. They all have a look of, you just don't trust them. They don't look friendly. They look very mad and mean, and they're very condescending. And I look at them. There was one that was on Abby Phillipps' show, Newsnight with Abby Phillipps, and she started talking about, well, Trump, he's actually won 3 elections because, you know, the first one was stolen. And CNN just said, no. Abby said, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. She stood there just with her smug face. I don't even know what her name was. And she tried to sneak that in. Abby says, no, we're not doing that. So I'm glad that CNN is holding their game. They won't let anybody on the show that are deniers of sort. And she told her, you don't have to say it from your lips, but you're not going to say that on here. Bravo, Abby, for doing that. So that's the conservative woman, which the ones that are conservative women, they all irritate the crap out of me. I don't know why. And they all look the same too. They're very blonde. They don't have any lips. And excuse me for making fun. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying these are natural attributes that I see. It's weird. I said, is this something going on in the water? But anyway, I digress. And let me bring myself back. But I'm really excited about Elie's book, and I got to read that book. But look, guys, he made quite a point about voter registration. Look at this. Look at this stats right here. Is the United States the only country with voter registration? No, it's not. The United States is not the only country that requires voter registration. Many countries have some other form of voter registration, but processes and requirements vary. Some countries like Germany, Sweden, and Denmark use automatic voter registration, where eligible voters are added to the voter rolls based on government records. Others, like Canada and the UK, have a mix of automatic and manual registration. Okay? In contrast, the United States and some other countries like Mexico and India require voters to actively register before they can vote. The U.S. system is unique in that registration is often the responsibility of the individual rather than being automatically managed by the government. Let's just talk about that right now. Why do we have voter registration in the first place? Don't know why we have it? All of this was created just to keep black people from voting. Women, foreigners, anybody. It was really aimed more at black people. They didn't want slaves, former slaves voting. So we used to have to take tests. They have to take what they call it, polling test and all this kind of thing. And then if they didn't pass the test, then they couldn't vote. And so they came up with registration. So basically, they give you a window to register. If you don't register by this, you cannot vote. Why not? If you're of legal age, we have voting requirements. You have to be a legal age, right? You have to be a citizen of this country, right? To vote. You cannot be a felon. We already have rules. So why not? Everybody gets registered. Here's my thought. I'm with Ellie. How about this? Everybody gets registered automatically by the government at 18 years old based on your registration with the motor vehicle or identification or passport bureau, anything that's of a official nature. If you register with any of those items there, you automatically put into the voter registration pool. Now, here's how we can keep the people that are not citizens to vote. Just like on your driver's license, they put a restriction that your eyes, you have to have, if you wear glasses and whatever, you put a restriction. They have a different color background on their photos. If they have a driver's license in America, but they're not a citizen or they have a green card, then your background on your license is different, right? And you have a restriction code. So if you go to the voter booth, you have a different strip, electronic strip. When they run it through the thing, it'll say, I'm sorry, you can't vote. You're not a citizen. There are ways. But you know who's going to push back? Republicans, because that means that everybody's going to be able to vote and there's not going to be anything that they can do to stop you. So that's who's going to push back, and he's right. It's always going to be Republicans because they're the ones that come up with this gerrymandering and these laws and rules that are going to help stop voting. They don't want you to vote. So you understand that we are still being suppressed in vote. There is still voter suppression in this country. Voter registration is a suppression. Yes, it is. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. And we have to have it. It has to be a very good system so that if somebody dies, they're going to bring that up. If somebody dies, then there should be a record. The motor vehicle, the passport bureau, whomever we just seem are the acceptable records for voting. Whatever that has, if there's a death, there needs to be some sort of coordination that it goes to those things and those people are taking off the vote. It can be done automatically by the government. It could be done. Yes, it could. All right, so I was looking up my dear state of Texas because, you know, Texas, if you look at all of the larger states with the big population, they're all blue. New York, California, Illinois, you know, those states are all very blue because they have large metropolis areas. Now, you come to a place like Texas. We've got some very large cities in Texas, right? We should be blue. But Texas has a voter problem. We rank like 48 out of all the states as getting people out to vote. That's another reason why we would have to have. And Texas has even more stringent laws. A lot of states you can just vote with your voter registration card. In Texas, no. You have to have card plus license. You have to show your license. That law came up and it passed in Texas. No big deal. I want to vote. I still got license, so it wasn't a problem for me. But it made a problem for a lot of people that don't drive. So they had to go out and get ID cards and things of that nature. And it really affected the elderly people. It made it harder for people to get the right identification to vote. You know, so there you have it. But look at this stats on Texas. This is just kind of crazy. Let's just see this on Texas. What is the racial breakdown of the registered in Texas? As of November 2024 election, Texas reported 18,623 registered people, While some organizations analyze voter, wait a minute, this is going too fast. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. This is going way too fast. Let me just slow this down a little bit so that I can read it. I'm going to pause. But as of November 2024 election, Texas reported a record of 18,623,931 registered voters. However, detailed racial demographics of registered voters in Texas are not comprehensively published. So we don't know that. Texas don't even want you to know the racial makeup, okay? They don't even want to do it. So my question was, what is the racial breakdown of registered voters in the state of Texas? So I couldn't get that answer because Texas doesn't do it. I'm talking to my dear friend ChatGPT. Do y'all know I've been saying ChatGPT for the longest? GPT, but I got it right now. So my next question was, what about how they voted in the 2024 election? Do we have a racial breakdown? All right. So pausing. In the 2024 Texas elections, voting patterns among racial and ethnic groups were as follows. White voters comprised of 61% of the electorate. White people come out and vote. 61% of the electorate, with 62% supporting Donald Trump and 36% supporting Kamala Harris. That's dear Texas. We can't win in Texas. All right. And then here, African American or black voters made up 11% of voters, with 78% voting for Harris and 17% for Trump. So that's all we have. That's all the steam that we have, guys, of this. At 62%, we're never going to win in Texas. Now, here's what kills me the most. Latino or Hispanic voters represented 23% of the electorate, which is more than black voters, with 49% supporting Harris and 48% supporting Trump. Notably, Trump won Starr County, which is 97% Hispanic bordered county, marking the first Republican victory there in over a century. Latinos, you are no longer people of color. You're just not. We're not with those numbers. And then, and people say Latino voters are not a monolith, but Latino voters have a lot of internal problems of their own race, just like we do. We do too in black races, but theirs is different because a lot of them, they don't like being othered, if you know what I mean. They just want to be considered American. They don't want to be associated with the immigrants and people coming across the border. They don't want to be treated. That's why they voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. They don't want to feel. A lot of them strive to be accepted as white. And that's not me saying that. I've talked to some of my Latino friends, and it's all over TikTok about how they would even not like to be considered to be Latinos. That's within a lot of the Latino Hispanic community, especially in the Dominican community. It's like that. It's like that in the Cubano community, and even in Brazil, in the Brazilian community. If you're the light skin of the Hispanics, then of course you can pass for white a lot better. They don't want to be associated with that. So they want to be accepted. So being accepted is voting for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? So I don't have to tell you this. I mean, you can go out on TikTok and just search why Latinos vote for Trump and look at all the videos of other Latinos saying this is why we do it. Because people on the news, people don't like to talk about the urban myths or what is going on among the people. When you go down to the ground, you get the real truth of what's going on in a cultural group. And that's what's going on. So listen to this little tiki-taki that I got from TikTok here on some Latinos going, why are Latinos voting for Trump? A lot of them don't vote for Trump, but the ones that do, trust me, it makes no sense. Listen to this.
So Trump.
Oh, that's not it. Latinos for Trump. That's it. I'm not ready for that one yet. Here we go.
How are you a Latino and a supporter for Trump? It doesn't make sense.
How?
To me, it's the same logic if a chicken was for KFC. He doesn't like you.
I just think he's a lost leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, he leads for the people that are lost.
Just a lot of the Latinos for Trump are very much assimilated, and I think they're very blind to who they actually are.
They spend so much time making you othered that you want nothing more than to be accepted.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump.
I for sure feel like some of them wouldn't even want to be called Latinos.
Yeah.
Like, they generally want to be known as like they're American.
But I don't get how you can ever support somebody who doesn't even think you should exist.
How lost you gotta be, man?
How are you a Latino and a...
Did y'all hear that? They want so much to be accepted by the white majority as a part of them. They do this. It is ridiculous. Trump could care less about Latinos. He's hauling y'all up, but y'all don't care because you're just like, we did it the right way. Okay. He still don't care about you. He still doesn't care about Latinos, guys. And if you don't know that now, you'll know pretty soon. You know pretty soon. That just baffles the hell out of me. It really does. And this is not me talking. I'm telling you what their own people saying. Those were Latino doing a little podcast that they have there. And they were talking about it. But just go and search that on TikTok and listen. And just search it and then just go through the videos. There's hundreds out there. And a lot of them are upset for their people voting the way that they did. Trying to be of the part of the whiteness. Trying to be white. Want to be a part. Want to be accepted. That is messed up. Very messed up. All right. So staying on the voter talking point, Kyle Kulinski, who has a great podcast on that I just found out about this brother. Now I did a whole podcast on how the Harris campaign missed a great opportunity to have the election not recounted, but audited. We had some cyber specialists that audited the election in the swing states specifically, and they found that there was a pattern of voting that didn't make any sense. The bell curve was off. And all you people that work in corporate America, you know what I mean. It didn't make sense. Now, you tell me if this makes sense. All around the country, there should be trends on how people vote, right? Some places may vote differently here and there, but whatever. But pretty much the American beast is the American beast. So you tell me why this makes any sense that in all the swing states, only in early voting, there was a nominal amount of people. It might not be the right word. I'm trying to think of my words. My words don't come to me so quick. There were a majority of people that didn't make sense that they voted just for Donald Trump and nobody else. But it only happened in the swing states. And it only happened in early voting. Where was that trend in the rest of the country? And it was just really weird that happened. And they were saying that there's something wrong with the algorithm because it doesn't make sense that that's the way that happened. And that all these people just voted for Donald Trump. And then they had some that voted for Donald Trump and then voted all the way. That's not the nature of the way people vote. And, I know that there were some people that actually did do that. But the percentages of how they came about to those numbers were almost identical in every state. How does Wisconsin know what Georgia's doing? In Michigan and Wisconsin and all of those swing states up there. Why is there a pattern just for those states? They're nowhere near each other, but they both had these trends. Georgia did it too? So they know that there's something wrong. And they said they definitely know that this. And they noticed that what is called a Russian tail. You got to go and listen to my whole podcast because the guy talks about it. A Russian tail is what Vladimir Putin used to win the election. And they know he cheated. But that's what the name has been given to it because it is similar, almost identical to a Russian tail bell curve. Do you know what I mean? So now here's another one. Conspiracy theory, not conspiracy. I'm not going to use that word. Facts, where Cal Kalinske had a guy on who talked about how Republicans Kamala could have gotten 3 million more votes in Georgia in the whole election based on what they were doing to voters. Do y'all remember when they were pulling people off the roll and everything else? Excuse me. This guy did a whole YouTube or documentary on speaking with people that were being turned away by droves. You're not on the list. You can't vote. And this may happen again. So this is why I'm on this, because the midterms are coming up, guys. And I'm going to keep talking about this until I hear it on one of these pundit shows. Nobody wants to talk about conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory. These are facts. These elections need to be audited because I believe Donald Trump cheated. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I think it is. And this is in my sanctified mind as to why he is so beholden to Putin. There may be some words exchanged between Putin, probably not direct words because neither one of them probably want to get on tape, that Putin probably sent in some of his little oligarchs, hackers, and did that. That's what I think happened. Because it's so reminiscent of a Russian tale. That's what I think happened. And that's why he's running over Donald Trump like he is. He's doing whatever he wants to do because he knows all he has to do is say what he did. So Donald Trump has to tread lightly. Y'all notice how he's treading lightly? That is weird. That is so weird. So listen to Kyle Kalinske talk about this guy and everything and how he is in agreement that election was stolen for real. Actually stolen, not fake stolen like Donald Trump thought it was stolen. So here we go.
So Trump just signed an executive order, and I don't think it's getting the conversation and the discussion and the coverage that it requires. You know, it's the Steve Bannon strategy. They throw 100 things at you every day. Each one of them is horrible, but they know we're flooding the zone. You won't be able to focus on all of them. You'll have to pick 2 or 3 of them and focus on those, and we get away with 97 other things, right? So this is a huge deal. Pay close attention as I walk you through this here. So Democracy Docket says the following. Trump order could disenfranchise millions of voters. Now, this is actually, believe it or not, sort of a soft way of describing what's really happening here. So we know that in the last election, based on Greg Palast's incredibly detailed work, that Kamala was effectively screwed out of, I believe the number is 3.54 million more votes. So she actually won that election. She actually got more votes. Don't take my word for it. You go listen to Greg Palast. You go watch the interview Crystal and I did with Greg Palast. And he explains it in a way that is beyond convincing. He has specific numbers from specific states and how they were purged, etc. Right? So this was already a huge problem. Trump and Elon are about to take this problem and lock it in and make it worse. Okay? So the title in Democracy Docket, Trump order could disenfranchise millions of voters. That's one way of describing it. Another way of describing it is Trump and Elon plan to rig elections in 2026 and 2028. All right, so let me walk you through this here. We have a good thread that lays it out. New, what if I told you Trump's new executive order could rig elections and give Elon Musk power over who gets to vote? Gives Elon Musk power over that. By the way, that's literal. That's what's in this. All right, let me walk you through it. This isn't your typical MAGA voter suppression. It's a blueprint for authoritarian control. Here's what's in it. The MAGA fever dream executive order requires government-issued documentary proof of citizenship to use the federal voter registration form, even though only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections and already swear to it on the form under penalty of perjury. What that means is it's an attempt to disenfranchise millions of poor folks, low-income folks, minority communities, because not everybody has a fucking passport. Not everybody has a fucking driver's license. And for you to say, oh, you have to show that in order to vote. Well, what if I don't have a driver's license? What if I don't have a passport? I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I've always been here, but I don't have either of those things. They say, fuck off. You can't vote. So it's a way to take away many people's right to vote, particularly lower income people and minority communities. All right, here we go. It gives Elon Musk's Doge more power to comb through state voter files. What? Elon is going to have the ability under the law to comb through state voter files? Based on their track record, this is a recipe for unprecedented voter purges, major human and database errors, the disenfranchisement of thousands or even millions of eligible Americans. So in other words, in a lot of red states, they have these laws on the books. All you have to do is question the citizenship status of somebody else, and it defaults to they're not allowed to vote. Here, they could have a provisional ballot, and that's it, and they could use the provisional ballot. But guess what? Like 50% of the provisional ballots don't get counted anyway. They get thrown right out. We know this all because of Greg Palast and his detailed work. If somebody challenges your right to vote, they default to assuming that person is correct. Not, hey, you have no evidence. Hey, how can you say that? If this person's here to vote, of course, we're going to allow them to vote, right? It defaults to, this is a Jim Crow era law that they revived in many red states. And that's what happened in the last election. What they're going to try to do is scale that to the whole country. They're also going to try to do spoil more ballots. In other words, if you put your middle initial but you weren't supposed to, or if you didn't put your middle initial but you were supposed to, if you have one line is messed up, or you don't put the date, or they find any little thing, they go, no, not good enough, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. This is how this works. This is what they do. They use a legal veneer of specificity to just throw out the votes they don't want to count. Terrifying stuff, right? But guys, this is the history of this country. This is how it works. This is how it works. Go read about the tests they used to give to minorities, right? Poll taxes. They do all these things to try to get the result they want while eliminating the votes they don't want. And they have a bullshit cover story about, oh, no, we're not just disenfranchising them because they vote Democrat and they're poor or they're a minority. We're doing it because look at the ballot. The ballot, it's not really legible. I can't read it. So I guess I got to throw it out. Oh, the middle initial is there. It wasn't supposed to be there. Or the date is messed up, or they come up with anything. That's what they do. And they do this in red states already. Here's another one that they do. Take a name that sounds like a traditional African-American name. If one person with that name dies, purge the voter rolls of everybody that has that name. So one person with the name, I don't know, let's say Leonard Johnson dies, right? Let's just make up a name. They go, okay, this one died. Well, we have 413 Leonard Johnsons that are in this state. Throw them all out. Now no more Leonard Johnsons get to vote. This is what it's death by 1,000 cuts. And now you're going to let Elon Musk do this? Elon Musk, we already know he's a fucking liar. We already know he was out there saying we have 150-year-olds and 200-year-olds getting Social Security checks when we don't, right? That was a lie. That was the way the system worked for coding. It would backdate it would default to a certain date. If there's not perfect information, it defaults to that date. He lied and said it was 200-year-olds getting Social Security. Just the other day, he was like, fraud is being committed because we have children getting Social Security checks. That's fraud. Cut off all that money. You idiot. That's for kids whose both of their parents died. He just cuts it off. I don't think you understand how bad this is. I don't think you understand how bad this is. Only eligible Americans vote. Even conservative think tanks like the Heritage Foundation, creators of Project 2025, found just 85 cases where people who were not citizens voted in 2 billion votes cast over the past 20 years. So they did a study on voter fraud and they found it basically doesn't exist. 85 votes out of 2 billion were like non-citizens voting. 85 out of 2 billion. This isn't a problem. So it's a solution in search of a problem. But what they really want to do is just purge the rolls of all the undesirables who they think will vote Democrat. Trump is trying to rig elections and stop the American people from holding him accountable. They're recycling a scheme courts already blocked and handing it to Elon Musk, whose roots are in apartheid South Africa, to decide who's American enough to vote. The order also targets states that count mail ballots received after Election Day and threatens to cut off federal election funds unless they comply. So that's the other thing. If you don't comply with this executive order, the federal government are just going to cut off all the federal money that your state gets, which is not survivable. This could disenfranchise U.S. military personnel and overseas voters. DOJ has warned it may be illegal. So this one is, they say like, oh, all the ballots that get to the state after Election Day, they're all fraudulent. Meanwhile, they're not. It's U.S. military personnel overseas. It's people who, maybe you voted, you sent it in 2 days before the election, but it gets there a day after the election, right? So it gets there in 3 days. Well, that's still a legitimate vote. They cast the vote before the election, right? But what they'll try to do is say, no, it has to be here on this day or that's it. Well, again, at that point, you're just trying to rig the election and throw out the ones you don't like. Because as we all know, mail-in ballots in particular, Democrats are more likely to do those. Let's be clear about the chaos plan here. One, Elon Musk's Doge floods us with so-called fraud. That's what they'll say is the problem, even though it's not. Then Trump points to the chaos to claim fraud and stop eligible Americans from voting. The goal, more power for Trump, less power for us. Just like the massive voter suppression law moving through Congress, this is all about locking the doors to democracy and handing the keys to oligarchs and super-rich campaign donors. We've seen this before. Judges have ruled that proof of citizenship for federal voter registration is illegal. The Supreme Court declined to hear appeals, effectively affirming that these mandates on the federal form are illegal and unenforceable. We've also seen this playbook before. Intimidation, disinformation, and distraction. It's a power play to score voters and get headlines, probably to distract from the war plans group chat scandal.
You heard all that? Did y'all hear all that? So tell me this. Who spends that much time? They think there's so much fraud there isn't. 85 out of billions. And those people probably know they couldn't vote. The 85 that did that probably wasn't probably a warranted thing or them trying to, I don't know, but I'm just saying, whoever of billions, voter fraud does not exist. So what are you doing? They're afraid. They are afraid of being taken over. And this goes back to my top thing right here, guys. White fragility. Yes. White people are so afraid of being in the minority. It's crazy. Let's just pop that back up there so you can see. As of the recent U.S. Census, white Americans still make up the majority of the population. However, the country is becoming increasingly diverse. According to the 2020 U.S. Census, white non-Hispanics are 57.8%, Hispanic, Latino of any race are 18.7%, Black or African American are 12.4%, Asian 6%, 2 or more races. Let's go for the biracial people. They're growing big, 10.2%, Native American, Alaska Native 0.7%, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, 0.2%. All right, so while non-Hispanic white Americans are still the largest racial ethnic group, minorities, when combined, now make up a growing share of the population. Some projections suggest that the U.S. could become a majority minority country by 2040s, meaning that all racial and ethnic minority groups combined would outnumber non-Hispanic whites. That's the fear right there, guys. That's the fear. That's the fear right there. Yep. So they're using that crazy immigration law that Ellie was talking about that doesn't bring in immigration people, immigrants to mongrelize the white race. I mean, it's right. It's in there. It's in the Constitution. And these laws are still in the books. So he's right. We need to get rid of some of this stuff. Don't need to get it. Okay. So I guess that's my rant on the voting thing tonight, since tonight was a vote day, election day. And congratulations to the state supreme judge that won in Wisconsin. The other two, we expected that it was going to be red, and it is. So the Republicans now have 220 seats, I believe. So they got a little bit more cush, but there's a few more races that have to be settled as well. So there you have it. Now, I want to talk about my girl here, Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, that's my congressman. I'm from District 30 here in Dallas, Texas. That is my congresswoman. Very proud of her. So this is all died down now. But Jasmine, she called the governor at an event. Maybe she was receiving an award or speaking or something. And she called him, y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. And you know what? To everybody else, they thought that was disrespect. But let me tell you, as a Texan in Dallas, that's his name. That's what we call him, y'all. That's what we all call him. It's Governor Hot Wheels. Now, here's what happened. And Jasmine, this is the only thing that I have against you. There are some things that we say as a people that we just don't let them in on. They don't understand. So what I think happened is that she was at this event and she probably thought she was in a safe place, which is a lot of people like us. But you can't even trust that anymore. You can't even trust that anymore. And somebody wanted some money or something and probably sold the story. Or the damn thing may have been televised. Who knows? And I think it got the best of her. But then you know what I love about it right now? Is that even though she did it, she don't care. She's moving on. And she shouldn't. Because Republicans have said a whole lot worse. And we do call him Governor Hot Wheels. Governor Hot Wheels, that's what we call him. No disrespect to his disability. We just call him that because he's hell on wheels. Hell. And we want him out of Texas. Somebody's got to defeat him. I'm sick of Greg Abbott. Yeah, he's hell on wheels. And that's where Governor Hot Wheels came from. Pretty much. And nobody was trying to disrespect his disability. Just a little term of endearment that we have fun with. It's a joke. So don't go going after my girl Jasmine. And so let me just show you what. Let me let you hear what she said on at the thing. And if you didn't hear the clip, here it is.
So yes. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So
I love Jasmine. She is a shining star of the Democratic Party, and she hasn't toned down her rhetoric about Trump at all. I don't blame her. We got all silence when Trump got his ear shot, and nobody was able to say anything. We couldn't say he was the enemy of the state. Republicans played us so badly, and we fell right into the trap. We got silent. We were trying to do the right thing. Democrats, we don't have to do the right thing all the time. And you know what? I'm a person that believes that right is always right, but we need to fight harder. We just do. Cory Booker, thank you, brother. That's a fight. That's a fight. And I'm sick of all these pundits going around with what the Democrats are not going to do and da-da-da. You don't know nothing. Republicans are sitting really pretty right now. And I am so disappointed in white Americans. I am very disappointed in y'all. We have to woo you for your vote. We have to woo you for what's right. Y'all will get in line and stand up for all of this crap that Donald Trump is going. You don't care anything about any other people. I'm talking about you MAGA ones. Or you on the fence that vote for Trump. I don't understand y'all. I really don't. I know all of you like that because there's some wonderful Caucasian friends and the people that I love. I'm not taking anything away from them, but the ones of you who don't give a damn, who just want to be on top, who still want to be in control, who still don't know anything about black people, is still kind of scared of black people mixing up. It's time for y'all to grow up. You're talking about us. It's time for us to grow up and move forward. It's time for y'all to move forward. Let that stuff go. Lord, forgive me. I almost said something on my podcast. Forgive me. Let that stuff go. Okay, but I want y'all to look at how y'all keep Jasmine. Jasmine, you know what? Her Twitter feed is horrible. I'm not talking about what she's saying, what the people come at her so bad. That's because she's a truth teller. I'm just trolling her Twitter feed right now for those listeners. But they're calling her all kinds of things. Wicked. Jasmine Crockett is truly wicked, calling her a witch. They got these crazy photos of her looking like a Aunt Jemima and all kinds of stuff, and big earrings and big lips and what have you on that. And it's just not right. It's just not right. And people are just really saying some things about her. I'm sorry, I thought comedy was legal. So, but a lot of people are in her corner too. So, Jasmine, take care of yourself, girl. Be careful out there. I know you got nerves of steel, but just be careful, because there's some crazies out there. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so very proud of her. And if you have time, go and listen to Nephew Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. He did a prank call on her as he was a constituent. She handled that thing with elegance and grace. She goes, because when Nephew Tommy does those shows, he'll make you pop off. She didn't do it. Thank God. She didn't do it. She knew that would be on the radio. So, and MAGA would take that and roll with it. So let's see. I want to just play, before we get out of here, I want to just talk about Neera Tandem. Neera Tandem was up for a cabinet position in the Biden administration, and she didn't get it. She pulled herself out because Republicans hate her. But you know what? She's the only one I know that can handle Scott Jennings. And she had puts out some tweets and things or whatever. But you know what? I agree with her on everything she's saying. She's a tough cookie. They ended up giving her a job in the administration, but she didn't get the cabinet secretary job that she was up for. But she ended up being the head of an appointed position because she didn't want to mess up Joe's whole cabinet process. So she took herself out, which was a noble thing to do. Neera Tandem. But she's a bad baby. She's a bad, good, strong, smart lady, and I like her. Look how she gets under Scott's craw. Listen to this. Scott Jennings on Abby Phillips Newsnight.
Republicans attacking Tesla dealerships around the country. It's pretty wild, actually. The other night, Donald Trump said these are domestic terrorists. Everybody laughed about it and scoffed at it. That video looks like terrorism to me. I mean, it's obviously an organized, coordinated effort, however people are communicating with each other, to do this to people around the country who chose to buy a Tesla at some point in the past, many of whom I'm sure were Democrats who bought them in the first place, all because their entire political worldview is ruled by their emotions. And that's the American left right now. It is one angry mob after another willing to take things into their own hands, up to and including keying, firebombing, and otherwise vandalizing cars and car dealerships and charging stations. It's outrageous. It is terrorism. People ought to be put in jail and left there.
I mean, Scott Jennings has to be one of the most pathetic political hacks on TV. This man had no problem minimizing an actual attack on the Capitol. He spent years excusing it, downplaying it, pretending like it wasn't a big deal. But now, because Tesla is being protested, he suddenly turns into the biggest law and order guy on the planet. It's laughable.
For a very long time and be taught a lesson.
So when they do it to a Tesla dealership, it's really bad. But when they do it to the halls of Congress, we should pardon them. Is that your position?
No, I've never. I don't
Are
support.
we okay with the January 6th pardons?
I know you haven't been around for a while, so let me educate you about my position about January the 6th.
I'm so sorry.
Let me educate you.
No, you don't need to patronize
you don't need to. You don't need to be condescending to me. So let me educate you about my position. You want to attack me? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let's do this January 6th and then
Yeah. He wasn't expecting Neera Tandem to act.
Woohoo! Neera Tandem, baby. I love her. I want them to put her back on with Scott again. He got. I've never seen him so angry. I mean, his ears and everything just pop. She got under his car. She's a tough cookie, and she doesn't back down. And I'm glad she's on our side, pretty much. Neera Tandem, look her up. And you'll see that she's a very professional woman, and she's done a lot of great things for the causes. All right, so now let's go over to my dear girl, Marjorie Taylor Green. My God. Listen to this. But she had a whole, she's over, y'all know she's the head of the committee for is she the Congressional Committee for Doge? She's the leader of it, I believe. Oh my goodness. And that was probably negotiated because otherwise she wouldn't vote for stuff. She got in there with a little resistance group. But listen to this clip. Let's go here when she's talking to an English reporter.
Defense Secretary and the Vice.
Wait, what country are you
from? From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Let me go to the first clip first.
Put at risk about service members fighting for your country.
I don't care
and
about
your Vice President and your Defense Secretary.
Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm an American, and I'd like to hear your answer to what she's asked.
I'm not answering her question
right,
because I don't care about her network. If you would like to ask, I can answer.
Do you have any concerns whatsoever about the complete disregard of operational security from the top level of this administration?
You want to know about complete disregard about operational security? You should talk about the Biden administration and how they ripped our borders open to terrorists, cartel, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and drug trafficking across our borders for 4 years. The Trump administration is doing a great job, and I stand by their statements.
So you have
I stand by their statements.
About
My comment to you is I'm thankful to President Trump that he is leading us out of wars, that he's ending the war in Ukraine, where American lives could have been killed if Joe Biden was still president today, whether he liked it or not. We're talking about NPR and PBS today. We're talking about fake news that was funded with federal funding from American taxpayers. That's what this is about today, not journalists from the UK.
A journalist is being vilified for exposing failings in the way that your government conducts itself. Is that not that journalist doing a good job? Does Defence Secretary Hegseth need to resign over this, Representative?
Absolutely not. He's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job, but he was putting American service members' lives at risk.
Your country's going to put
this is
lives fighting a war in Ukraine that's not even a member of NATO.
Is this an exercise in deflection?
This should be an.
Okay, that was the first one. Now let's listen to the other part.
The Defense Secretary and the Vice.
Wait, what country are you
from? From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay, do you care?
No. You should care about your own border.
Representative, another story that relates to the media today. Have you seen the new information revealed by The Atlantic magazine about the signal texts?
We're talking about NPR and PBS, not The Atlantic.
But do you believe that this was classified information that was shared on that
No,
group?
the administration has said it is not classified information. I think this is a continuance of someone like you to try to push an issue that isn't even relevant, and I think that we're carrying on. Thank you.
Detail of timings and weapons, is that not classified information?
Yes. Anybody else?
Should the Defence Secretary and the Vice...
Wait, what country are you
from? From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay, do you care?
No. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by my...
She is just a disgusting person. Just disgusting. I mean, wow, what are we, just anti anything that's not American? You're going after a person from the UK? Our ally? Oh my God. This is just too much for me. But I want y'all to hear what she says. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nobody's ever going to beat her in any race over there because she supports one of the most red counties in Georgia. Also used to be one of those sundown counties. Y'all know what that means? For the white people who know what sundown means, that means that black people couldn't be out in certain towns or you get shot. And this stuff is still going on, guys, as far as these sundown towns. They haven't changed anything. They're still that. They are still that. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to end this one with this one here. Now, there's nothing worse than a black MAGA Republican. Nothing worse. And Abby Phillip, this is one, his name is, I can't think of his name. We'll find out what his name is when he starts talking. but he is frequently on Abby on the round table as a strategist, and he's telling the story how he became a Democrat to a Republican. It makes no damn sense at all, but Abby was trying to get him to explain himself. But listen to a black Republican speaks. Love this. Here we go.
I bet you've always wondered how someone could go from voting for Barack Obama to supporting Bernie Sanders and then voting for and supporting Donald Trump. Well, we asked a black Republican exactly how that happened for him. Here's what he had to say.
I was a lifetime Democrat, probably the only Republican that I know of in my family, but I was a lifelong Democrat.
And you are, just for the record, you're from Mississippi.
Mississippi, from the great Magnolia
a black
State.
person from Mississippi, which means you were a Democrat.
Yeah, longtime Democrat up until 2016. I had said that if the Democratic Party nominated Hillary Clinton, because I was against Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, all of that era of Democrats, I said that I was going to leave the Democratic Party. I was like,
what a personality.
Oh, a number of things.
Because they weren't far left enough for you.
Oh, no.
No, the Clintons are terrible. I'm with you. I'm with you so far.
Was the problem with Hillary that Hillary alone would make you leave the Democratic Party?
I didn't like what the Clintons represented when it came to the Democratic Party. I thought that there were too many people beholden to the Clintons, and I did not like the era of Clintons. I did not like Hillary Clinton talking about super predators. I didn't like none of that stuff. But so I left the Democratic Party. I said that, and in fact, believe it or not, I started thinking that I was going to vote for Jeb Bush, because I said, if they nominate Hillary, I'll just switch over and vote for Jeb Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
Well,
so far.
Well, Jeb Bush got out.
Yeah.
I think
Jeb exclamation point.
Maybe in January of that year.
Let me ask you. Okay, so there's Bernie. You went to Bernie.
Yep.
Why not Trump at that time?
Well, because I was still a Democrat. I said myself, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm still a Democrat, and to be honest,
what are the Democratic principles that you liked?
A number of. You know what? I'll say this. Until I became a Republican, I realized that I was, like many people, you're a product of your environment. So I grew up around Democrats. I just became a Democrat. I didn't know why I became a Democrat. I just became a Democrat.
So there were no democratic principles that you...
Well, I guess maybe the other question is, did you become more conservative, or were you always conservative?
What I realized in 2016, that I had conservative principles that I just... suppressed?
Sure.
Because that's not the Democrat thing to do. So even as a Democrat, when I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm pro-choice. Okay. And people were around me like, well, you can't be a Democrat then.
But my question to you, as a lifelong conservative and someone who, deeply believes in the principles of conservatism, what drew you to Trump? Because he's not conservative at all, not personally, and his policies, like protectionism and skyrocketing the debt and America First, none of that's conservative. So what drew you to Trump from a position of identifying as a conservative at that time?
Well, I didn't look at Trump as a conservative. Like, he wasn't. When I think of conservative Republicans,
he's not.
I look at people like one of my favorite, Condoleezza Rice.
Sure.
As I continue
Mitt
to say,
Romney, John McCain, right?
Not John McCain, but not Mitt Romney.
What?
Well, I'm giving you my.
Who's your version of conservative?
I'm telling you.
Wait, you're saying John McCain is not conservative?
No. When I was a Democrat,
a conservative that you would like, not that
when
he's
I
not
was a Democrat,
conservative.
there are
personalities. Because I hear policies.
Because I haven't been allowed to get to that point.
Fair enough.
When I was a Democrat, I looked at people like GW. I looked at people like Condoleezza Rice.
Yep.
Those are people that I said, I like, whether they were conservative, Republican, it really didn't matter. I liked them.
Yeah, they were
Now,
great.
there were a number of things. It wasn't just personality. There were a number of other things. Now, people attacked George, G.W. Bush. Remember, Kanye West said, that he was racist. I started looking at those type of things, even in how we look at race. And that's how, during the Obama administration, I was one of those who, and I will admit, I had a lot of unfair expectations of Barack Obama as a black president. There were many things that I assumed, we got a black president now, so we about to be good up in here. And I realized that was just unfair to Barack Obama. But when I started looking at some of the actual policies, I realized, you know what? I like to keep more money in my pocket.
Are you confused yet? I'm totally confused. Totally confused. brother, just do you, I guess. I don't know. That was just so confusing. In the whole panel, if you look at that episode, you can go find it on the YouTube or something. Everybody's looking confused. Confused. What are you, bro? Are you an independent? Don't really know. All right. So, guys, that is my podcast bonus episode for this week. So this is bonus episode, and really a continuation of episode 30. But I just wanted to talk with you about voters, voter rights, and what is going on in this country. So here's what I wanted. I want to fight for voter registration change. I'm going to start writing my congressman, Jasmine Crockett, and this is like, get this on the House floor. Change the voter registration process in America to automatic voter at 18. Come up with a system of checks and balances where the Department of Motor Vehicles and the passport office, whatever we deem to be acceptable identifications as being an American and an American citizen, get that fixed. Let's do that. Let's do that. In Texas, we already have to show our license. But in some states, they allow people with visas, of course, can get a license. But I don't know that people that are here on temporary visas or work visas or anything can get a driver's license in their name. I don't know. But we can strengthen all that up. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. I'm definitely going to get Ellie's book and read it to find out what the 10 things are. And if you have a chance, guys, go back and read some of the Constitution and read some of those amendments and go, we're never going to do that. It's kind of like the Bible. There's things in the Old Testament that you would go, we're never going to do that to people. We're never going to stone people. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to bring things to a point where you have to rethink what it's really saying or get rid of it. Yeah, I'm not saying get rid of the Bible. I'm just saying there are some passages in there that you can't take literal. You know, there's this. It's just the way it is. All right. That was a kind of a strange comparison, but that's what I got. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast here. Hopefully, I will have some special guests coming in the near future to join me on a few episodes, and we're going to talk. So this is Let's Talk with Carl E. Long, and have a wonderful day. Bye.